everyone, and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I'm your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. August is Washington Wine Month. March is also Washington Wine Month. They added August later, and for good reason. Washington is the second largest producer of wine in the United States, usurping New York some time ago. Way behind Cali, though. I think I looked it up. Washington, produced 227,000 tons of grapes in 2014, which is a record crop. California pushes over 4.1 million tons of grapes. So huge, huge discrepancy. But that being said, Washington, of course, is a smaller state, a smaller growing area for wines, and they are producing some world-class juice, let me tell you. And I'm going to get started right off with 3 wines that I've never tasted before. They're new. 2 of them are called Sustain from Mark Ryan McNeely and Trey Bush. 2 very cool guys. Shout out to Trey Bush. Good job. He came up here and did a tasting with me, and he did an excellent job. With Sparkman Cellars is his winery. Of course, Mark Ryan Wines, that's Mark Ryan's winery, and they do things together called the Underground Wine Project. They have one they call Idle Hands. I'm hearing that the newest vintage is fantastic. Looking forward to trying that. So now they've started out with this other one called Sustain Wines. There's there's more than 4 wines, but there's 4 reds and 1 white, a Pinot Gris in the fridge. We'll do that one on another episode. And then we have Sparkman Cellars Holler Cab. This is a new cab from Chris Sparkman. He is the head of the Washington Wine Commission right now. Of course, that will change in time, but he is doing that gig right now. Chris Sparkman, love that guy. He reminds me a lot of Jason Bateman. Yes, he does. Anyway, we're going to get started right off the bat. The cool thing about Washington State, and we'll talk about this throughout the month, and I'm not telling you I'm going to do every episode of Washington Wines. I only have so many samples I can draw from for that. But it's going to be fun because Washington has a huge diversity, there's huge diversity of wines in Washington State. And we talked about this a little bit with Chris Sparkman as to why there are so many different styles of wine in Washington State. I mean, this is one state that can produce great Italian wines, great French varietals, great Spanish varietals. Even Malbec is very good in Washington State. It's amazing how many different wines do very well in Washington State. And the winemakers that have recognized that make a lot of wines. I mean, Chris Sparkman makes a ton of wines. He even jokes about how many different wines he makes. I mean, some of the best Cinsault I've ever had in my lifetime has been from Washington State. Crazy, 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 the wines that come out of Washington. But the first one we're going to try, I just poured and rinsed and poured, Sustain Merlot, the Underground Wine Project, 2013 Columbia Valley. This rolls in at $15. In fact, all the reds, the 4 main reds roll in at $15. I'm going to show you the label. Very cool label. They like to play around with that script. And on the back of the bottle is I'm pretty sure it's a stanza from a song. I'm not going to read it, but pretty cool. They're great marketers, and they make great wine. That's a dangerous combination. So Merlot is one of those wines, I've talked about this many times. Merlot in Washington State is fantastic. Probably some of the best in the world, I believe, next to the right bank of Bordeaux. And, you know, I think it kicks Napa Valley's ass. Big time. Let's see what we get on the nose. So right off the bat I get really bright cherries, kind of like a combination of red and black cherries, and some tobacco. A little bit of like red currants coming through. Of course, you know the difference between red currants and black currants. All of you do. Red currants are the ones I love. Salad with red currants on it. Do you like that? I love that. And then black currants, of course, raisin. More raisin qualities to it. These are red currants. And I'm getting a lot of red flowers. Really pretty, pretty. I said it. Really cool nose. I like the nose a lot. So let's give this one a whirl, see what we get on the palate. Very smooth. Now, I forgot to mention that Sustain Wines, Idle Hands rolls them in about 30 bucks. So this is half the price of their Idle Hands wine. So, you know, a lot of wineries will do this. This is a collaboration of Trey Bush and Mark McNeely. And this is what we call a cash crop wine. This is a wine where they make it, and they do a good job. Obviously, this is a very good Merlot. But what they're trying to do is, this is a good way to get exposure to their label, and then people will go and take that step up to Idle Hands. I've tried Idle Hands, excellent wine. I think I have a bottle out in my cellar. Very smooth and polished. Good acid though, I like that. Kind of pushes its fruit. I get red currants. I get a lot of licorice on this wine, which is interesting. It's a little bit, I'm going to use the word simple. It's delicious. There's not a lot of things going on with this wine. I get pretty much red currants and licorice. Front to back, it has good balance. It has good acid. I'm just saying, it's a little on the simple side, which is okay. That's okay because, you know, you're only paying 15 bucks for this wine, and it's a nice, what we'd call entry-level wine, I guess. The tobacco notes come through on the backside. A little bit more interesting on that third try at this wine. This is one of those tricky ones where you're like, okay, I really know Trey Bush. I really like Mark Ryan. Like them both a lot. Mark Neely. And this is a delicious wine. This is a delicious wine. This is a wine that this is what I'd call a 75% wine. 75% of the people that are trying this are going to like it, which is a good target area for any winemaker. I'm going to go B-, C+ on that wine. A little bit simple, but good. Let's move on to the Sustained Cabernet Sauvignon, the Underground Wine Project, 2013, Columbia Valley. Again, $15. You know, that Merlot, I'm not just disappointed in the Merlot at all. I think it's a good Merlot, but, you know, you have to call it like you see it, right? It's worth 15 bucks. Absolutely. A lot of you are going to like it. Let's see what we get out of the cab here. See what we get on the nose. Ooh. A lot more interesting on the nose right off the bat. Loads of black currants and black licorice. Big time. This is very perfumed. When I say perfumed, on my blog I wrote a little article on it. I call it Words of Windom, and I describe perfume. And perfume is when that, you know, it's almost like soap. You know how you get those little bars of soap that are kind of, you know, real foo-foo bars of soap, and they have that really perfumed, strong smell to them. That's what I mean when I say perfume. The aromas are actually more powerful than normal wine. Normal, whatever that means. In other words, they're more powerful. You don't have to extract them very much. They just kind of jump out at the glass. This one has those perfumed aromas. And I'm really liking the currants and tobacco and licorice notes. I'm excited to try this. Let's see what we get on the palate. More intense than the Merlot on the palate, which I'm kind of bummed about because I really love Merlot, especially from Washington State. Good currants. I mean, there's a lot of currants, a little touch of spice. I think it's more black pepper, but it's barely there. I'm getting a little vanilla, mocha action going on, a little bit of chocolate. There's an interesting minerality right on the back side. After the mid palate, it kind of goes into this, just a touch of minerality, which I find quite interesting. The black pepper kind of lingers on the back side. A lot of black currants, chocolate. You know, there's definitely chocolate on the finish. The only weakness I find in this wine, for me, is the front end is just a little thin. And I'm kind of surprised, because once you get to the mid palate, you know, initial attack in the mouth is like, there's nothing there, but then as it flows through the palate, you get more expression of fruit, get that black pepper. So this is like a wine of two stories. Front, not so good. It's like getting into a book, you know, you struggle, and then all of a sudden it just takes off. That's what this wine is. Don't judge it by the first couple of chapters. Go to chapter 4, it starts taking off, and that's what this cab is all about. I'm gonna go BB plus on this one. I think it's really good for $15. What's the Merlot? Was that good? I'm gonna give Merlot a quick little shot again. It always bugs me. You see, Merlot to me is so underrated. Partly because of the movie, of course, but that isn't it. You know, a lot of people just have this like attitude towards Merlot. Nope, sticking with it. Let's move on. I'm really excited about this one. I'm probably a little late on tasting this. Chris actually wanted me to have this bottle to try, so I'm kind of excited about that. Thank you, Chris Sparkman. This is 2012, great vintage in Washington State. Sparkman, Holler, Cabernet Sauvignon, Columbia Valley. This rolls in at, well, either 32 or 23, depending on your wine store, whether they buy a case or not. I will roll in at our store at $23, a Michael Jordan. Love that number. So this rolls in at a Michael Jordan, 23 bucks. Now this is an interesting story. Chris Sparkman's, it's kind of weird how he's proud of his jacket. His prices up on wine. He's getting crazy with his pricing, which is fine. If you can pull it off, more power to you, Chris. But this is what he would call, I guess, his entry-level Cabernet Sauvignon. And 23 bucks, a lot of people wouldn't consider that entry-level. But this is a way for him to get wine in front of you from Sparkman Cellars and then lure you into his bigger boys. I've tried them. They're excellent wines. Let's see what we get on the nose. This is crazy dark, ripe black currants. And then there's this underlying like cherry. You have these ripe black currants and then this underlying cherry notes that come through. I get like almost like a bittersweet chocolate notes coming through and licorice. Great nose. And not to get too carried away here, but you get a little bit of wilted rose petal. Let's see what we get on the palate. This is what you'd call like on the edge of hedonistic cab. It's not over the top fruit, but it has nice polished, it's smooth, it's big on the palate. It's got black currants, dark cherries, licorice. It has a little bit of chocolate coming through on the backside, front to back. Very, very full-bodied cab, but the tannins are really structured but soft. I mean, I guess smooth tannins, very well integrated into the fruit. Crazy stuff. You get a little bit of alcohol in this wine, but it's not overpowering. It's there, obviously. The chocolate kind of hits you on the back end. this great bottle of wine. You can get if you can get this baby for 23 bucks, that's a crazy value. That really is. That's a crazy value in cab. Glad I tasted it last. Of course, I figured I had to. You can't always go by price point, by the way. I believe that Trey Bush and Mark McNeely can do an awesome job. They did on these wines. They're good wines, just not to the level of the Holler Cab from Sparkman Cellars. Looking forward to celebrating Washington Wine Month in August. Looking forward to doing quite a few videos on Washington wine, giving you little fun facts about Washington State and the wine industry here. It's kind of cool. One little fun fact, I think it's like a 47-51 split on whites and reds, which is really cool. You know, so it's very well balanced in what they put out. And Washington wines really do rock. Now, I love wines from all over the world, but since it's August, since we're focusing on these, I'm going to brag up my home state. Thanks for watching. And remember, wine is not a mystery. It is just fermented grape juice. Drink it. Enjoy it. Be willing to try new things. Expand your palate, but never, ever let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like. And if you do that together, we can take the snob out of wine.